Welcome to Life Dynamics TV. I'm Stephen Farrell. On today's episode, we will feature Chef Rachel cooking up some very healthy recipes for us. Also throughout the show, you will hear from wellness experts that will share with you their life enhancement tips. So join us for a new episode of Life Dynamics TV, the new science of energetic living.
Welcome back to the Garden of Eating. What we're going to do now is make a delicious salad dressing and dip to encourage you to eat more vegetables. And this dip is guaranteed to make even the pickiest eaters interested in eating more fresh vegetables. So what we'll do is make a spicy peanut sauce. And the ingredients for this can readily be found in supermarkets and natural food stores. What we'll be using is an organic peanut butter. If you're going to use peanut butter, I recommend that you buy organic. And the reason is that peanuts are usually grown in rotation with cotton, and cotton is a very heavily sprayed crop. So buying organic will help you avoid taking in pesticide residues. So what we're going to do is use peanut butter. Now the first thing that you want to do when you open a brand new jar of natural peanut butter, that's non-hydrogenated peanut butter, no sugar, no salt added. The first thing you'll notice when you open a jar is there's usually a layer of oil on top. You don't want to pour that off because that's part of the peanut butter. That's where a lot of the flavor is. But you also don't want to just stick in a spatula and stir because the oil will overflow. You'll have a lava flow over your counter and it will be messy. So what I suggest you do when you open a brand new jar of peanut butter is scrape the contents with a spatula or a wooden spoon into a bowl or a food processor. If you scrape it into a bowl, you can just mix it with a whisk until it's smooth. And if you scrape it into a food processor, you can just turn it on and blend it until it's smooth. Then put it back in the jar. Whatever peanut butter you don't use right away, just store in the refrigerator. The peanut butter will never separate again. In 20 years of cooking, I've never had a jar of peanut butter, cashew butter, or tahini separate once I mixed it until it was smooth. And the advantage of mixing it until it's smooth is that the peanut butter will be an even consistency throughout the jar. So you won't have the problem with runny peanut butter on top and then stiff, hard to mix, hard to spread peanut butter in the bottom of the jar. So I have already mixed the peanut butter and put it back in the jar. So what we're going to do is start mixing. And what you need first is a half a cup of natural peanut butter. We're going to scrape this into a bowl. If you have a food processor or a blender, feel free to mix all of the ingredients in the food processor or blender. And we've got a half a cup of natural peanut butter here, and I buy salt-free peanut butter. Then I can add as much or as little salt as I like, and I can use a natural, unrefined sea salt that has more minerals and flavor if I want some salt in whatever I'm making. So as you're mixing and scraping, you want to get every bit of goodness out of the bottom of the jar. So scrape out every bit of peanut butter here so you don't leave any of that yummy stuff behind. So we've got half a cup of peanut butter. The next step is to add the salt, and you have two options here. You can use 1 teaspoon of natural unrefined sea salt, or you can use 2 tablespoons of tamari soy sauce. And tamari is just like a soy sauce, but it's naturally aged, so it has more flavor and more body than something that you would buy in the supermarket. So you can buy this tamari in any kind of health food store. If you have a wheat allergy, make sure you buy tamari rather than natural soy sauce. The tamari is wheat-free, whereas shoyu has wheat in it. So we're going to add 2 tablespoons of tamari soy sauce. If you don't have tamari soy sauce, just use a teaspoon of unrefined sea salt. The next step is to add the water. So we're going to add half a cup of hot water. And you want hot water to easily dissolve the salt so that it's mixed throughout the sauce. So we're going to put half a cup of hot water in here and whisk until it's smooth. And then the next step, once it's smooth, and it'll just take a minute or two. And again, if you do a blender or food processor, it'll be even faster. Once this is smooth, what we're going to do is add a 1/4 cup of vinegar. And I'm using a raw apple cider vinegar. This is an unpasteurized vinegar. If you don't have raw apple cider vinegar, you can use pasteurized. So 1/4 cup of natural apple cider vinegar. And if you don't have vinegar, substitute lime juice. Lime juice works really well in this recipe. And the next thing to go in is ground chipotle, which is smoked dried jalapeno. And if you don't like spicy things, then just start with 1/8 of a teaspoon. If you like a little bit of spice, use 1/4 teaspoon of ground chipotle. And you can buy this in herb shops or natural food stores. So now we have peanut butter, hot water, we have tamari soy sauce, chipotle, and vinegar in here. The next thing to go into the sauce is garlic. Now what we need today is 2 cloves of garlic. Now this is a really large clove. If you have small cloves of garlic, you could use as much as 3. Figure you need about a teaspoon of chopped garlic. Now you can mince the garlic finely if you like, or you can use a garlic press. If you're not putting it through a blender or a food processor, the easiest thing to do is use a garlic press. So we're going to add the garlic, and this is quick, effortless if you have a garlic press. And if you happen to have roasted garlic on hand, you could replace the raw garlic with roasted garlic. If you use roasted garlic, you can use twice as much. So you could use 4 to 6 cloves of roasted garlic if you have that on hand. So we've got 2 good-sized cloves of garlic in here. We'll give it one more press and be ready to go. Now, if you want to save the garlic skins, what you can do is have a bowl ready to keep all the scraps from the vegetables you're chopping. And the garlic skins could be used in a soup stock for flavoring. So you could save them rather than toss them. So we've got the garlic in here, and we've got 2 more ingredients to go in this recipe. One is water. We're going to add 1/4 cup of cold water, and then we'll be ready to add the last ingredient. So 1/4 cup is 4 tablespoons. Now if you want a thick dip, you can leave the extra water out. You can just make the recipe with 1/2 cup of peanut butter, 1/2 cup of hot water, the teaspoon of sea salt or 2 tablespoons of tamari, 1/4 cup of vinegar, 2 to 3 cloves of garlic, and 1/4 teaspoon of ground chipotle. So at that point you don't need to add any more water if you want it nice and thick for dipping. The next thing to go in is 1/2 cup of chopped green onions. And the chopped green onions, I did a head, and whenever I chop green onions, I chop an entire bunch, sometimes 2 bunches. That way I can put them in a jar in the fridge, and they're ready to go in almost anything. They can garnish a soup, a stew, a salad, a chicken dish, eggs, anything. And if you chop them ahead, you're more likely to use them before they spoil, because you won't have to worry about them sitting in the fridge and hoping to use them. So we're going to put 1/2 cup of chopped green onions in here. If you don't have green onions, substitute cilantro. You can use chopped fresh cilantro, and that works as well. So this is ready to serve, and if you want a thicker dip or dressing, let it chill in the refrigerator for at least 3 hours before serving, or transfer it to a jar or a smaller bowl and put it in the freezer for half an hour to an hour so it thickens up before serving. So this makes an outrageous dressing for steamed vegetables, raw vegetables, a tossed green salad, or what we'll be making next, which is a parboiled vegetable medley. This makes a wonderful dressing for steamed vegetables, raw vegetables, parboiled or blanched vegetables. You can also serve it over a tossed green salad topped with white meat fish, chicken, turkey breast, or a little bit of tofu if you like. So it's a very versatile sauce. It will keep for 2 weeks in your refrigerator, or you can make a double or triple batch and freeze some for future meals. So why don't you come back in a little while and we'll have dinner ready. And thank you for joining us for another episode of Cooking in the Garden of Eating.
All right, I'm telling you, oh no. Uh-oh, forgot to tell you. I've been drinking too much spring water. I'm telling you. Now let me tell you something. If the health food salesman comes knocking at your door, go ahead and invite him in.
Hi, this is Silver Rose with key number 2 to 7 keys to passionate self-care. Key number 2 is do sweat the small stuff. Now, I absolutely agree with Richard Carlson's book and the premise of his book, which is don't sweat the small stuff. And if you can do that, I encourage you to do it. However, in all the years I've been working with this, I've discovered that there are many of us who really have trouble letting go of little things. What I've noticed is that we can handle big things. We can handle illness in our family. We can handle things like 9/11 and come out shining on the other side of it with hope. But boy, we get little teeny things that just drive us over the edge. And those are the little things that really sap the energy from us in life. So I want you to take a look and see what the little things that are in your life that are slowly driving you crazy. For example, when you get up in the morning, are you able to go into your shower or your bath and have everything there that you want? Or do you get in the middle of something and realize that you forgot to bring the shampoo into the shower with you and you just want to scream? That's not a good way to start your day. When you go into your closet, are you rifling through things trying to figure out where something is and you're just tense already and you haven't even had your first cup of coffee yet? So look to see what the little things are. Are there piles that you have? I always joke with people, do you have a pile somewhere that's over 3 years old that every time you see it, it drives you crazy? Those are the little things that if you clean those up in your life, you will find that your life flows much more smoothly. Now, one of the keys to do sweat the small stuff and taking care of things is what I call don't step over the trash. In other words, if there's something that needs to be picked up, pick it up. Even if it isn't yours, if it's driving you crazy, pick it up. Do the things that you've been putting off that you know just doing it will improve the quality of your life. I talked about this one time in a group, and at lunchtime, the woman who had hired me to speak took me to lunch, and she showed me something with a very embarrassed look on her face. When she turned her windshield wipers on, they were like a cat of nine tails. They were so shredded. And she said it drives her crazy every time it rains that she has these shredded windshield wipers. So she went out that day and bought some new windshield wipers. Little things, but I'm telling you, you do this, you sweat the small stuff, you take care of it, and you are well on your way to passionate self-care. Thanks very much.
Hi, I'm Stephen Farrell, and I'd like to introduce you to an innovative life enhancement system that induces optimal energy, health, body weight, and well-being. Implementation of just a few of the strategies within this program will make a dramatic difference in the quality of your life. Visit lifedynamics.com, and when you purchase over $30 worth of cutting-edge products, you'll receive this Life Transformational System on DVD absolutely free. Life Dynamics, the new science of energetic living.
I'm Jamie with Life Dynamics, and I'm here today with Mike to see what kind of questions he has for our experts.
How long should you wait after eating to work out?
Of course, the types of food we eat prior to exercise, in my mind, is very important. If we eat primarily carbohydrates, we can use those carbohydrates in the aerobic exercise activities that we plan with our workout. On the other hand, proteins metabolize in such a way to create and add to the acidotic effect of exercise, and I think should be avoided immediately prior to exercise. Fats also slow down the digestive process and shunt blood and energy away from our exercise routine, and I think fats are also relatively contraindicated prior to workout. I think the magic number is as long as possible, probably 2 to 3 hours after eating before you entertain aerobic conditioning type of workout.
Welcome back to another episode of Cooking in the Garden of Eating. Today we're going to make a parboiled vegetable medley, and that might sound like something foreign, and it is. It's actually a recipe taken from a Japanese cooking technique, and the vegetables we'll be using for this salad will be lightly boiled in salted water, and most of the vegetables will be cooked for 1 to 3 minutes maximum. And the benefit of parboiling vegetables, things like broccoli and cauliflower and carrots and red radish slices or daikon radish sticks or even bell pepper strips, is that cooking breaks down the tough cell wall of the vegetables so you can access more nutrients. It also improves the flavor and the digestibility. The blanching or parboiling helps to soften the vegetables, and it makes them sweeter, so kids and adults are more likely to eat them. So I have a pot of salted boiling water here. You want to use about half a teaspoon of sea salt for every 4 cups of water. And you want to have at least a 2-quart pot and preferably a 3 or 4-quart pot. You need about 3 inches of water in the pot. So I just brought the pot of water to boil with the salt. And I have all the vegetables chopped and ready to go before I start. Today I cut the carrots into sticks. You could also cut them into thin circles, thin coin-like rounds, or half-moon slices, and that would work as well. The carrot sticks are perfect for dipping if you want to make a healthy dip tray that's more inviting than a raw crudité plate. So for the carrots, about 1 or 2 minutes. We're just trying to make them crisp tender, so we're not making them soggy, just crisp tender. And what I have ready is a bowl of ice water. And the ice water is really essential for this recipe. After each vegetable is cooked, we'll be plunging it in ice water to stop the cooking and hold the brilliant colors. So have plenty of ice ready. So the carrots will be lifted out. You need some kind of scooper. I use a small scooper like this for using a small pot, and if I use a larger pot, I use a larger scooper. You don't want to use a slotted spoon. It won't be large enough. You want some kind of scooper or deep fry basket or skimmer so that you can quickly pull the vegetables out of the water before they overcook. Now, usually for this recipe, I use 3 to 5 different kinds of vegetables. Each vegetable is cooked separately but in the same water. And the reason you cook each variety of vegetable separately is to maintain its unique color and flavor. If you were to cook them all together, you'd have something more like soup. And we're not making soup here today. We're making an appetizer or a side dish. So you have your ice water ready, you have your boiling water, and you have all the vegetables chopped ahead of time, so they're ready to go. It's like stir frying. Once you start cooking, it moves quickly, so make sure you have everything ready. Today we're going to use carrots. We're going to use something called daikon radish, which is a Asian white radish, and this is really good for helping with getting rid of excess water in the body. Daikon is a diuretic. It's also a really delicious, crispy, crunchy vegetable for dipping or for salad, steaming, or stir-frying. So today I cut it like carrots into French fry-like sticks, but you could also cut it into half-moons or quarter-moon slices or even thin coin-like pieces. And again, you're just going to cook it briefly, 1 or 2 minutes in the salted boiling water. And we're also going to use broccoli today, and I've cut the broccoli into florets so it will be easy to use them for serving. Now, if you're going to use this for a dip tray or for some kind of side dish you want to eat with your fingers, make sure you leave a big enough handle on the end of the broccoli, so big enough piece of stock so that you'll be able to dip it into a bowl of spicy peanut sauce or macadamia dill dressing, and you won't be dipping your fingers in, just the vegetables. So we'll retrieve the carrots now, plunge them in the ice water, and then we'll cook the next vegetable. So you want to have a little rotation system going here so the vegetables will go from the hot water to the ice water and then into a colander to drain. And then you'll start the next vegetable cooking. So you want to make sure the water boils in between each type of vegetable that you cook. So let the water return to boil, then add the next vegetable, and then start timing. And the salt is really important in the water as well. Salting the water creates osmotic pressure, and that keeps more of the minerals in the vegetables rather than having them go into the water. So press the vegetables into the water so they're submerged. And while the broccoli is cooking, what we'll do is take the carrots out of the ice water and drain them. So have a colander nesting inside a large bowl so you can lift out the vegetables from the ice water, quickly remove them, and drain them. And if you like, you can cook enough vegetables to serve 2 or even 3 days in a row. Why is my head cut off? The camera's moved. Hey, Steve. Okay. Back to this. So we're retrieving the carrots, lifting them out of the ice water, and cooking the broccoli. Now, the broccoli usually takes 2 or 3 minutes. It takes a little bit longer than the carrots because the broccoli is so tough and fibrous. And I suggest peeling the broccoli stalks. When you go to prep the vegetables, just run a vegetable peeler from the flower part of the broccoli to the end of the broccoli to strip off all of the tough skin. And after that, you can cut the broccoli stalk into sticks, perfect for dipping, or you can cut them into thin rounds that are like quarter-sized or quarter-shaped pieces. And those would be great if you wanted a parboiled vegetable to serve with a knife and fork as an alternative to salad or steamed vegetables. So the broccoli goes into the ice water. We'll do one more batch of broccoli. If you have a lot of vegetables to cook, I suggest that you use a larger pot so that you can cook them more quickly. And if you want to prep the dish ahead, you could chop the vegetables the day before, put them in quart jars in the refrigerator so they're ready to go, and then the next day or later that day, you'll be ready to cook and you won't have to do everything all at the last minute. Now these vegetables will keep for up to 3 days in the refrigerator, and they're served cold like a salad or like an appetizer, and it's something that you would make ahead, serve with a dip, or serve with a salad dressing, and works really well for snacks, lunches, dinners, great for traveling as well. So this broccoli is ready to come out, and we'll get the next batch ready for the ice water. And it's good to have a colorful combination, have at least something green in your parboiled vegetable medley. So you could use broccoli, or if you don't use broccoli and you use cauliflower, you could cook it with asparagus, or you could use green beans or a little bit of cabbage to add a little something green. And then I like to include some orange or yellow vegetable for variety. Now, if you're cooking radish, today we're doing some white radish cut into sticks, and we're also cooking some red radish cut into little coin-shaped pieces. Cook the radish last because the radish has a strong flavor, and that can bleed into the water and give a strong flavor to the other vegetables. So cook whatever is most sweet or mild tasting first. So cook carrots first or onions, and then cook, let's say, broccoli or cauliflower or green beans, and then save things like radishes or beets toward the end of cooking so they don't bleed into the water and add a bitter flavor or strong color. So this broccoli is ready to go into the ice water. And as your ice melts, you need to add more ice or change the water, adding more cold water and ice. So the next thing to go in is the daikon radish. And you don't want to fill the pot too full. Make sure there's a little bit of space between the vegetables when they're cooking, because otherwise you'll slow down the cooking if you add too many vegetables to the pot. So in a small pot like this, you might only add a couple of cups of vegetables, maybe 3 cups at most. In a larger pot, you could cook 4 or 5 cups of vegetables at one time. So the daikon will go in for 1 or 2 minutes, depending on how crisp you like it. And while the daikon is cooking, we'll fish out the broccoli. Now, if you want to make this really easy to find in your refrigerator, if you've made extra vegetables, you can store it in quart mason jars. So when you open the refrigerator, you'll see jars lined up in the side door ready for serving. And another option is to store it in a glass bowl. Store all the cooked vegetables in a glass bowl with a dinner plate on top so they'll be easy to find and easy to spot in your refrigerator. Now, as soon as the daikon cooks for another 30 seconds, we'll fish it out, and it'll be ready for the ice water. Now, radishes are something some people love and some people hate. If you're cooking radishes are something people either love or hate. If you're cooking for people who don't normally like raw radishes, try parboiling. I usually find people who don't like raw radishes will eat them if they're cooked. Just 30 to 60 seconds in the water for red radish slices, and they'll be mild, more sweet, more tender, and people who wouldn't normally eat them will actually enjoy them. So don't cook the red radishes too long, or they'll get soft and too much of their color will bleed. So 30 or 60 seconds, and they're ready to lift out. The color actually becomes more vibrant when the vegetables are cooked, and that's another thing that adds to their appeal. Now, another thing I like to do whenever I'm cooking, I like to save as many of the vegetable scraps as I can to make delicious soup stock. So what I do is I keep a gallon-sized plastic bag or a couple of them in the freezer, maybe bags saved from buying salad greens or something else at the farmer's market. And what I do is I put all the carrot ends, carrot peelings, you can put apple peelings in the bag, the ends from green onions. You can even take garlic peelings. And when you peel your garlic, take all those little garlic skins, take the onion and shallot skins, and just stuff them in the bag. The ends from green beans, the cores from tomatoes, those will work as well. Basically, what you want to leave out of the scrap stock bag is anything with a really strong flavor or strong color. So, for example, I do not put broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage, or beets in the scrap stock bag because they have too strong a flavor and or too strong a color. But all the other vegetable scraps can go in here. And, oh, do leave out turnips. Turnips are also really bitter, so those wouldn't make a very delicious stock. When you're making a scrap stock from vegetable trimmings, ends, and peelings, just stuff the pieces into the bag as you use them and zip the bag shut and put it in the freezer. And then each time you go to cook, you can take those onion, garlic, and carrot trimmings, put them in the bag, and keep adding to this collection in the freezer. Once you have a full bag, you're ready to make stock. You can make it at any time it's convenient. All you do is take your gallon bag of vegetable scraps, pour them into a large stock pot, and add 1 or 2 gallons of fresh water. It's best to use filtered water rather than tap water. That will be more flavorful and also avoid a lot of toxins that are in tap water. Add a couple of bay leaves. If you like, add 6 or 8 peppercorns, maybe a couple of pinches of dried herbs. Bring the pot to boil and cook it for 2 to 3 hours. Then turn it off and drain it. And then you can cool the broth in an ice bath. Put it in containers. Keep some in the refrigerator. I keep enough broth in the refrigerator to use within 2 weeks. Any broth that I don't think I'll use within 2 weeks, I will put in the freezer. And then I can pull that out in whatever size batches I've kept them in. So this is a really handy way to get more mileage from the vegetables that you buy and prep, and also have something much more flavorful that you can use to add to soups and sauces. No one can resist a beautiful plate of parboiled vegetables. As you can see, the color has increased so much as a result of blanching. The broccoli is a more brilliant green, the carrots are more bright orange, and the red radishes are more pink. This is a wonderful dish to encourage adults and kids to eat more vegetables. So next time you're thinking about a party, a potluck, or some kind of dinner event, rather than serving potato chips with ranch dressing or tortilla chips with guacamole, think about serving parboiled vegetables. And for a healthy dip, you can replace those commercial dips with my delicious spicy peanut sauce. It's healthy, it's natural, and it's so flavorful, everyone will want to take seconds and maybe even thirds. So, bon appetit!
Thanks for sharing your time with us. I'm Stephen Farrell with Life Dynamics TV, the new science of energetic living.